maybe I can do it. Maybe I can't. I don't know. Is it possible? I just didn't really have the confidence to do that. And the first marathon where I broke three, I ran like 2:56 or something. So I broke it by a considerable amount. And then all of a sudden, it made me look at everything slightly different. Because then, okay, well, where's the next goal? And at that time, the Olympic trial standard was 2:47. So there's a big difference between 2:56 and 2:47. But I was like, I think I can do that. So I ended up calling my coach and I was like, okay, let's do another set. And then I was able to on my next marathon qualify for my first trials.
You are listening to Feminine Will, powered by Sweatseat. I'm Andrea McKee. This is a show about women who choose athleticism, adventure, and bravery every day. Thanks for listening. Hey, welcome back to the podcast today. Today you're going to hear my conversation with Laurie Knowles, who was 4 times in the Olympic trials for running a marathon. In this interview, I asked Laurie a lot about what her time was, and that's because if you're running in the Olympic trials, I'm really curious about what your time was for a marathon. I've run a marathon before, and I know how hard it can be. And to hear her talk about her journey through running a marathon and then qualifying over and over for the Olympic trials is so fascinating to me. I think you'll really enjoy my conversation with her, and she has a great sense of humor too. I start out by asking her about quarantine.
Well, I mean, it's been a very typical quarantine day. I got like my mask on and I got my gloves on and I went to the grocery store.
Awesome.
And then I came home and disinfected and here we are now.
Good job. You're doing all the right
Yes.
things. Everyone would be so proud of you right now. And we're all like, yep, that's what we're doing.
Oh my God. Like once a week, it's like the big adventure to the grocery store. And you're
Exactly.
you feel like you're going off to war,
I know. It's true. And you feel like, wow, am I going to be okay? I'm not going to get infected by touching these cans of food or this gallon of milk.
Oh my God. Right. And then afterwards you come home and you put it in a safe spot and you wipe it down. Such a hassle.
Face masks are now the normal thing, and that's been interesting too. But hey,
oh my gosh,
we're
so
adjusting.
Weird.
I know, it's super weird.
To look at it, and it was so creepy.
I know. I know. But I always feel like I always feel like I'm getting my Inspector Gadget on when I've got my face mask. I'm like, ooh.
Totally, yeah.
I always feel like this really mysterious investigator music in the background of my mind as I put it on, and I'm like, what problem am I going to solve today?
But think of all the money we're saving on lipstick and stuff. I mean, you don't need anything anymore.
Totally.
Nobody can see you.
Okay, guys, I wanted to share a little bit with you about what Laurie has been doing with homeschooling. So I've heard from a lot of parents about their experiences homeschooling, and people are kind of getting a little bit more adjusted to the idea, but for a while it's been pretty hard for a lot of people. It's been good for some, hard for others. This is a realm of interest for me because I was in education for 10 years. I was a teacher, first and third grade teacher for 4 years, and then I became an assistant principal after I got my master's degree and started a school, was on the founding team of a K-12 school, and we opened with 1,000 kids. I'd always been really into technology as an educator, and so then I went into consulting in Silicon Valley and worked with administrators of schools and teachers on integrating technology more effectively. So all the things your kids are doing right now, where some parents are like, I have no idea how to do this, and their teachers are not quite sure either. Well, I was teaching teachers and administrators on how to do this at home stuff. Honestly, it was thrilling because teachers who had been teaching for 30 years, not only did I get to help them feel more comfortable, but I was also doing school-wide plans for integrating technology with the Chromebooks and the iPads and helping teachers who didn't know how to check their email use it and do this stuff well. So I'm always very interested in on how homeschooling is going for people because my kids are 1 and 3. So I already do stuff with them at home, but it's not like they're bringing home stuff from school. I would love to hear more stories about what you guys are doing, and email me, Andrea@sweatseat.com. If you want advice, email me for that too.
My 5-year-old loves it. I mean, but hers isn't nearly as challenging.
Yeah.
But, she gets on the Zoom with her pre-K teacher every morning, and then she does her little journal entry, and then she's about done for the day, and it's wonderful. My son is in fourth grade, and it's not quite as much fun because he, has quite a bit of work, and he's on the computer a lot, and it's given me so much more respect for his teachers.
Yes.
I realized there's no way I would ever want to be a fourth grade teacher, and I love my son to pieces, but this is really challenging.
Yeah.
But
Yay for all the
it's good.
teachers out there and the educators.
Seriously, oh my God. And even more so, the people that homeschool their children are my heroes.
Oh,
Because I have
yes.
no clue how this is possible. Because I think your kids might listen maybe to like a teacher better than they listen to their parents, because the dynamic's just different, right?
Mhm.
But like, oh my gosh, I love my son so much, but he has every excuse in the book for why like he doesn't want to do his diagramming sentences. So it's been a challenge, but we're all holding up, and we've had a lot of good bike rides and a lot of good walks and a lot of family nights. And last night we played Pictionary, and who knows, a couple nights ago where we had a family costume party at dinner.
How
So
fun.
we're doing different things every night and trying to make it fun, and it is what it is.
When I found out from Kim, who, for those of you who remember Kim's episode where she talked about yoga and her journey through yoga, Laurie is one of her friends, and she told me about Laurie. And Laurie you've qualified, is it 4 times for the Olympic trials for running a marathon?
I have. Yes. I met Kim in grad school quite a few years ago, before we all had kids and everybody had different lives,
Cool.
But now, since then, I've qualified for 4 Olympic trials, the past 4 successive Olympic trials in the marathon. So every
Wow.
year, or every 4 years, there's a standard to hit. And if you run that standard, you're eligible to compete in the Olympic trials. Back, my first time I did it was in 2008, and there were maybe like 100, 150 American qualifiers. And it's gotten, even though the time standards have dropped each year, it's gotten bigger every year as Americans, women are doing better and better in the marathon. And this year, the Olympic trials were right before the world kind of fell apart, but they were here in Atlanta,
Yes.
February 29th.
Okay, cool. And now, but you've done it 4 times, and okay, I'm going to ask you first, like, did you start in 2008, or you're just kind of referencing time-wise how things have gotten, how women have gotten better as athletes and improved their time?
No, my first Olympic trials was in 2008 in Boston.
Okay.
And then I qualified for the 2012 trials also in Houston, and I did that one after I had my first child. Then I ran in the 2016 trials in Los Angeles after I had my second child. And then I just finished the one here in Atlanta.
Wow. Okay. I am stoked to learn about this. So take us back to the beginning. Like, when did you first start running?
When I was younger, my parents were both runners.
Okay.
And I have a twin sister, and she and I would, go watch them run, and that was fine. But it was never really our thing. We would do every sport that came around. We liked to swim, and we liked to do just about anything. I was never really very good at anything that involved hand-eye coordination.
Okay.
So I logically became a runner as I got older. In middle school, I really wanted to play field hockey, and it just wasn't really happening for me. So somebody encouraged me to go out for the cross country team, which I did. And I was pretty good. And then I just kind of got better each year. And by the end of high school, realized that, I could do something with this running. So I, like in high school, I was 5th in the nation in the 2-mile and 2nd in the 5K. So I was a pretty good high school runner. And then I ran in college. I graduated from the University of Arkansas, and I ran for their track team there in cross country.
Cool.
And that's where I met my husband, who was also a runner there. And then we ended up back here in Atlanta, and I was super burned out on running. I had zero interest in doing it anymore because I felt like I'd been doing it for so long.
And you were how old at this point?
At this point, I'm like 22. And I'm like, I don't want to run anymore. I'm done with this. I'm just going to live a normal life. Yeah. And that lasted for about 2 years. Okay. I would go out for a jog, and 2 miles would be so difficult. And then all of a sudden I was kind of disgusted with myself, because I was like, how did I get in this bad of shape? What has happened? So I determined I was going to get a little bit back into it, and start setting some goals and just jog again. And I've always been pretty competitive. And so jogging didn't work for very long. Very
Yeah.
quickly thereafter, I was like, okay, I want to do a marathon. And oh, maybe I can break 3 hours in the marathon. And then it just kept, I kept getting more serious about it till I
Mm.
got kind of where I am now, which is, I by no means am I a professional runner, but I'm a pretty good regional runner.
Yeah. Wow. So you did a marathon, and then you started after that. You're like, okay, this is good. This is a good distance for me. I'm gonna start setting other goals, and maybe I can
Mhm.
break 3 hours. And what was it like for you as you were trying to go from just? I mean, what was your first marathon time? Just out of curiosity.
My my first marathon, actually, when my senior year of college, I just jumped in. This sounds so random and so stupid looking back on it, but my senior spring, I somehow got a number for the Boston Marathon through like a friend of my dad's,
Oh.
and
Uh
so
huh.
I was in no means in a condition to do a marathon, and I mean I was not in, like hadn't been training like that. I'd been coming off of a track and cross country season, so I had no like long distance conditioning.
Hmm.
And I jumped in the race and I ran really fast for my first half marathon. And then I died like a slow, agonizing death. Like the last 5 miles, I mean, I was probably walking backwards. I was running so slow. So I finished in like a 3:20, which doesn't sound that bad. But
Wow.
like if you looked at the splits and the way it was run, I think I ran like a 1:20 in a 2 hour like half.
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
mean it was so painful and so ugly. And I got stuck in the bathtub afterwards because I was so cramped up I couldn't even get out. And I had to have my dad pull me out of the bathtub. I mean, it was mortifying. So I ran that marathon like in a 3:20. And then after that kind of led to I don't really want to run for a while. And so then
Okay.
took took the couple years off of not doing very much. And then it was probably not until about this I graduated college in 2000. It was probably not until about 2006 that I started getting like really into it again. And I think that was the year I broke three for the first time.
Wow. And what were you doing that helped you break three? Anything special or just?
I actually had a guy that I knew from years back that was a high school coach. And I'd asked him, I said, hey, do you mind making up a training plan for me? I was like, I'm not going to put a lot into it, but I want to just be a little bit more serious and, have somebody I'm sort of accountable to. So this guy, his name was Roy Benson. He's actually a pretty famous running coach that's from Atlanta.
Hmm.
Now he lives down in Florida, but was from Atlanta at the time. And he put together a program for me. And so just, I added some longer days in and a few faster days in. And by no means did it take over my life, but it just became a little bit more serious with it.
What do you feel like was the difference in your previous training, the 320 to the 3? Like what were a couple of tips that he gave you or in the training plan that you feel like made a difference?
I think the marathon is such a unique distance. I
Mhm.
know you're a runner, correct?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. And I think like every race is hard and every race has, challenging parts to it. But the marathon, in addition to being physically tough, you've got to be so mentally tough and you've got
Yeah.
to be
Yep.
so patient, and you have to
Mhm.
understand when is the time to push and when is the time to relax. And I think
Mhm.
it just took me a while to figure that out and to even get in the mentality of racing for 2.5, 3 hours is kind of
Yeah.
crazy, right? Like,
Yeah, that's
so
true.
you
It is
have to
it's
really,
crazy.
yeah, it's so weird. So you have to just kind of understand the mindset. And I think that's what took me some time to get to.
Okay. Yeah, and that's powerful. That's I feel like
It
that's
totally
probably the
is.
most powerful thing. That was
Hmm.
definitely something that I learned as well as I started doing the longer distances. So
Yeah.
so when you broke 3, did that give you like extra
Hmm.
confidence thinking, "Okay, well, maybe I could do even better."
It did. It was something that had been such a goal of mine. And I kind of thought, like, maybe I can do it. Maybe I can't. I don't know. Is it possible? I just didn't really have the confidence to do that. And the first marathon where I broke three, I ran like 2:56 or something. So I broke it by a considerable amount. And then all of a sudden, it made me look at everything slightly different. Because then, okay, well, where's the next goal? And at that time, the
Mm-hmm.
Olympic trial standard was 247. So there's a
Okay.
big difference between 256 and 247.
Yeah.
But I was like, I think I can do that, So I ended up,
Hmm.
okay, I called my coach and I was like, okay, let's do another set, let's see what happens. And then I was able to on my next marathon qualify for my first trials.
Wow. And you said at that time in 2008, there were only 150 women nationwide.
Yes, at that time the standard was 247 and about 150 women qualified. And just for like a point of reference, this time the standard had dropped to 245 and there were almost 500 women that qualified. So America's just
Wow.
gotten better and better. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I think just collectively, everybody racing against each other and wanting to do better.
Mhm.
It's just made
Mhm.
everybody want to try harder. I think the people who are really interested in
Absolutely.
it. Yeah. So from there, you qualified, and what was it like? So when at what? Let me go back. Like, at what point did you decide? Oh, I want to qualify for the Olympic trials. Was it when you hit 3?
It was when I broke three for the first time, I couldn't figure out what my next goal would be, because I
Mm.
mean,
Okay.
okay, breaking three is like logical, right? Breaking 4
Mm-hmm.
hours is a logical goal. Then if you break four, let's try 3:30 or let's get a Boston qualifier. And then once you've done that, okay, 3 hours is the next step. And then after that, there was really nothing else there other than the Olympic trials.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, I mean, guess I could do that. Let's see what happens. So that became, so my first Olympic trials that I ran at was in Boston. And I kind of had the mentality like, I'm just happy to be here, and it was fun. And I really was happy to be there,
Yeah.
but I didn't really have any like expectations for myself.
Mm-hmm.
The way the Olympic team is set up, America sends 3 women to the Olympics. I mean, so
Okay.
for the vast majority of us, you're running at the trials, you are not going to the Olympics. I mean,
Okay.
being at the trials sort of is our Olympics. Like I had
Uh-huh.
no expectations or hopes of being in the top 3. But
Mm-hmm.
I think the first time I just had the mentality of I'm happy to be there.
Yeah.
And so after Boston, after my first trials, I was kind of like, well, there's a lot more I think I could accomplish. I knew I wanted to have kids. And so
Mm-hmm.
that was more of a goal than my next Olympic trials. But the next Olympics trials wasn't out of the picture.
Okay.
I knew that
Yeah.
I still had more in me and more things I would like to do.
Yeah. So then you qualify for the Olympic trials in 2008. And the Olympic trials
Mm-hmm.
are literally just where you go with these 150 women and you run a marathon together?
You run a marathon. Instead of a traditional marathon, they're usually on a criterium course. So you could have 3 or 4 loops of the same thing so that it's spectator and media friendly.
Okay.
But the way it's run is literally the gun goes off, everybody runs, the top 3 make the Olympic team.
Wow.
So that's how,
All in
yeah,
a
it's
matter
pretty
of like
crazy.
3
So that's,
hours or less.
yep,
Less than 3 hours.
exactly.
And what was that first experience like for you? You said that you were there and you were just happy to be there and you didn't expect to qualify, but was it like a different kind of rush for you thinking like this is for the Olympics? And there are all these people watching.
It's so weird, right? And then you kind of like, you don't want to get all fangirl on
Right.
people, but there's all
Right.
these people that you've like read about that are standing next to you. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, there's Shalane Flanagan or Kara Goucher or whomever, was in it at the
Yeah.
time. Or like, so it's really pretty cool because literally, I mean, any other race you go to might have 3 or 4 really good runners there.
Yeah.
But this has every good runner
150.
from
Yeah.
America, right? Yeah, like anybody that's anybody is there. So it's
Yeah.
really pretty amazing. So the first time I did it was fairly overwhelming, because you have the
Mhm.
mindset, I'm like, I don't know if I deserve to be here. Like, who am I, But I think that's how everybody feels in that situation initially.
Yeah. Yeah. And did you get a chance to talk to any of your did you get to get a,
Yeah,
did you get a chance to fangirl while you were there and talk to any of the women
you,
that you were super like
yeah,
starstruck by?
I You do. Like, for the most part, you realize, like, they're just totally normal. They're
Yes.
waiting in the
Yes.
same porta pot lines and they're look nervous or they're chewing their fingernails before the start or like do
Yeah.
any of the things any of the rest of us do.
Yeah.
It's just we all happen to know them,
Yeah. 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 So then you have this 4-year stretch between that first one and the second
Hmm.
one. And what were
Yep.
you doing in those 4 years? You had a baby.
I had a baby. I was working. I had a baby.
And what do you
And
do?
then after, right now, I stay home with my kids.
Cool.
But yeah, so it's good. But before, for I did a couple different things. My last big job before having the kids is I ran training and development for a retail company here in Atlanta.
Oh, nice.
So I did it. Yeah, it was fun. I did it. I loved it. I did a lot of traveling, and it was a great job. But my husband travels a lot too, and so it
Mm-hmm.
just was hard to do with kids.
Yeah.
So after I had my son, I worked for my family business part time, and I got back into training a little bit, and then I got like a massive injury, you know? So it was like one of
Mm-hmm.
those that I was like, oh man, this is 2010. And the Olympic trials were in 2012, and I hadn't got a qualifier yet. I was like,
Mm.
oh, it's over. You know, like there it goes. I'm not gonna be able to run. And I hurt my hip and did all these, I mean, mainly just stupid things from coming back too soon after a baby.
Okay. How
So,
soon did you come back?
sooner than I should have. I had a
Okay.
C-section with both of my kids,
Okay.
but, and I did not run while I was pregnant with my son,
Mm-hmm.
who was my firstborn. So after a couple months, I started running again. And I
Mm-hmm.
think my biggest problem, which I think most moms can relate to, is you try to fit your fitness in this very, very, very small window of time.
Yeah.
And didn't do like the things I normally would do, like stretching before,
Got
stretching
it. Yeah.
afterwards, or warming up
Mm-hmm.
properly. But
Yeah.
instead, like one rainy like day, it was like 5 in the morning, and I was running in a dark, rainy day, and just stupid, you know. So I fell on a run that I shouldn't have been on to begin with. You know what I mean? And I tore my labrum. So I was off running for like 4 months, which I was,
Mm-hmm.
bummed at.
Yeah.
So then it was like February of 2011, I could finally start like doing light jogging again. And I thought, I can take one more shot to try to qualify for, 2012. So I ran Grandma's Marathon that June and ended up having a massive PR, which is like a personal record.
Yeah.
So it was just so much fun
Congrats.
because it
Yeah.
made you realize that like you can get back into shape quickly, and you can do, your body does remember how to be fit after some time off.
And I think that really is something valuable that I had to learn too, was just to give myself a chance
Mhm.
to just take a little time. It's a big deal
Yes,
going
yes.
through pregnancy and the after all the after
It's
effects of that too. There's a lot of adjustment that your body has to go through.
and it's so much adjustment, your body going back to normal and not sleeping and not, I mean, it's just all so different. And I
It
think
is, yeah.
you can't properly, yeah, you just don't know how your body's going to react to that.
Mhm. Yeah, so you were off for 4 months and that was a really trying time for you. Was that also
Hmm.
kind of a
Hmm.
reflective time where you kind of thought, this might be good for me to just take a little bit of a break
Yes.
and spend time with my new baby, cuz I always end up having those sort of reflective moments after a baby. I'm like, just chill. Just be okay. Like
Just exactly. Like I remember at first I felt so rushed, and like the doctors I was seeing, it really screwed up a number of things. They kind of suggested, if you want to get back running quickly, you should probably get this surgery done. And I remember just talking to my husband and talking to my mom and being like, this just doesn't make sense. My
mm,
baby is less than a year old.
mhm.
I'm going to get this surgery and I can't even hold them and climb stairs and do stuff. Like
Mm.
running isn't that important. Like I love to run, but it's not that important to miss all of this that I would be missing if I did that. And at the end of the day, thank God I didn't, because I didn't need to do it, But like,
Yeah,
I
good.
do
Oh,
think
that's
you have to
great that
kind
you
of
didn't
have
need
that
to.
that you didn't need to, but you have to have that like step back to realize like what really is important, and that
Mm.
this is like an amazing hobby and I love it so much. And it's an important part of who I am, but it's not like my sole identity.
Yeah. And now I somehow it was a little bit muffled. Could you just re-explain what that
Mhm.
injury was when you fell? That's what you're referring to, right?
Yeah, I fell. I was out running with a friend in the dark, in the rain at 5 a.m. And a car we took a turn kind of fast, and the car came kind of fast. So we had to jump out of the way. And I totally wiped out and ended up like tearing my labrum and fracturing a part of my hip.
Mm.
And it was just really, it was really ugly. But
Mm.
yeah, all's well that ends well. And it really
Yep.
did end up fine, but
Good.
it was a bad
Yes.
bit.
Yes. Yes. And it's always something that sort of turns life upside down and makes you think about other things. So then you had your massive
100%. Yeah.
PR. which is also
Yeah.
incredible after having had such a big injury and having a long
Yeah.
recovery. How long was your recovery from that?
I hurt myself right around Halloween, and I ended up racing really well again in June the next year.
Okay, cool. So you had a massive PR.
So
So
mhm.
yeah, so you have your massive PR in, is it June that you had
In
that?
June, and then
Okay.
the Olympic trials were the following January.
Okay. And what was your time with your massive PR at that point?
At that point, I ran a 2:38, and
Okay.
had been so excited because I
That's
didn't know if I'd
incredible.
ever go under 2:40. So
Yeah.
I ran like a low 2:38 or something, and I was really excited.
Wow. And had they lowered the standard again, or like upped the standard again?
They It was 2:46, I think, in 2012, and then it dropped to 2:45 the last 2 years
Okay.
or 2 seasons.
Okay. So you were well under that, what they expected.
Yeah, I was well under it, which was nice. Makes you feel a little safer.
Yeah. So then how did it go at the Olympic trials
Mhm.
in 2012?
It was good. That year was in Houston, and it was a really fun experience. I feel like I was there more to compete, and I had like some goals that I wanted to reach. And I didn't run maybe my smartest race I've ever ran, but it was just a fun experience, and I ran really well, which was exciting. And a lot of my college friends were there that I'd run with, and by that point, I felt a little more at home,
Mm.
being
Mhm.
at the trials, and I wasn't so overwhelmed by everything, or I knew that I
Yeah.
belonged
Yeah. Well, that's a good feeling. I bet that felt really
there.
nice to just kind of,
Mm,
you're growing into yourself at this point. Like you're growing into what you're doing and what you're doing well and getting better at. So so
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah, so during those Olympic trials, you felt at home, and
hmm
then how did it go for you? I mean, you did say that it
I
wasn't your
think
smartest run.
no, I think I ran like I don't even remember, which is terrible. I should. I think
You
I
don't
ran. I
have
mean,
to.
I don't remember. I think I ran like a 2:40 or 2:41 or something, which is a decent time, and I was probably like 40th or something, somewhere around there. I mean, it was
Yeah.
respectable. It was a great experience. It wasn't like the time of my life, but it was a really fun experience, and it kind of left me wanting more. I kind
Oh,
of still
yeah.
was like, okay, I'm not done with this yet.
Yeah.
So then after Houston, I I took a little bit of a break and had another child a couple years
Mm.
later. And so I had my little girl in 2015, and then
Oh,
I ran the trials in LA in 2016. Yeah.
cool. And what was that like for you? Now, I'm just going to keep asking you what each one is like for you, because I'm curious, like the growth spectrum
Yeah.
from the beginning to this
Yeah.
year. So,
Okay. Well, yeah. Like, so LA was an very interesting. By the time I got in the time in between Houston and LA, I had run a lot better, and I'd run low 2:36s a couple times,
wow.
and I felt like I was in really good shape. And so then I had my baby, came back, my second baby came back, and I knew I was like super fit. So I was super excited to go into LA, and I was like, I'm going to have a massive, PR. I'm going to run really well. This is going to be so much fun. And then the day of LA was like 9 million degrees outside, and it was like super humid and super hot, and this is in February, and it was
Wow.
an absolute epic disaster for me. So my
Mm.
legs felt amazing through about 16, and I was running, pretty fast and also pretty stupid because I hadn't adjusted my time for the inclement weather. But
Mm.
I was running really well, and then all of a sudden, I think I got heat stroke. It's the only thing I can figure out, or like massive heat exhaustion or something.
Hmm.
And all of a sudden, I got really dizzy and thought I was going to pass out. And I was seeing spots, and it was
Mm.
just really bad. So
Yeah.
I ended up stepping off the course, and I was like, I can't do this. I can't. And I'd never like not finished, but I was like, I can't run this race. Like I'm afraid I'm going to die. Like, you know,
Yeah.
and it's funny now, but it wasn't funny at the time.
Yeah.
So, and it turns out like 20% or 30% of the qualifiers all ended up DNFing that day because the weather was
Wow.
just so rough. But in a way, it set me up because at that point I was 38, I think. And I was like, oh my gosh, that can't be my last trials. Like, I cannot finish on a, yeah, I can't like have my last Olympic trials that I don't even finish. So it was good in that, and I really wanted my kids to see me doing something, you know, impressive, not just quitting. And my daughter was too young to really know anything, but my son did because he's like, Mommy, why did you stop? Why couldn't you do it?
Oh,
I go,
yeah.
Son, I suck, you know. So anyway,
Uh-oh, I lost you. Are you there?
oh, I'm sorry. Is he good? Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you again.
Okay, perfect. Sorry. It was good motivation for me because it left me wanting to do, you know, be a really good example for my kids and finish and do the right thing. So especially when
Oh.
we found out that the Olympic trials were in Atlanta this time, I was like more motivated than ever to have like a really good race.
Yeah, like
So
you at your home city.
I'm in my home city, and now my kids are, you know, my daughter's 5 and my son is 10, and they actually know what's going on. And yeah, I mean, it was so exciting. So I actually 100% changed the way I raced in the year leading up to the trials. My whole focus was on having this be a great experience. So I
Mm.
started this last race very, very conservatively, um, and ended up like I think at the like 5 miles I was in like 180th place or something. I mean, like far back. But by the end of the race, I was like 59th or 60th. I don't remember. But
Wow.
I ran like very smart race and I was passing people the whole last lap. And it was really windy and the weather was pretty challenging this time. But and the course is really, really hard. But
Mm.
it was such a nice way to run. You know, that I
Yeah.
was well within myself the whole time. And I knew there was no question I was going to finish. And there was no question I was going to finish feeling okay. So it was a
Wow.
very good place to be.
That's incredible. I mean, I as you're
Hmm.
telling me your times as you're running and just all that you are experiencing along the way, I am literally just sitting here in awe. And if I laugh, it's this
Oh,
laugh of, "Oh my
you're
gosh, is she
sweet.
human? This is amazing."
You're no, you're very, very sweet, and it's not. It's just an accumulation of a lot of hard work.
Yeah, yeah, and you know that is the truth. That is the truth. And I guess what I'm wondering
Yeah.
is like, what do you feel like? Do you feel like you are just like naturally a more talented runner because I mean, even in high school, you were like fifth or sixth in the nation, and
Um,
did that come
I
more
have really good.
naturally?
I think I have really good endurance, but I think more
Mm,
than anything, I'm just my body can handle a lot of training. Like I
mm,
don't tend to get injured very easily. I can run 80, 90 miles a week and not be exhausted. You know, so I think it's kind of whose bodies become the most compliant is who's successful over time. You know, I think
yeah.
obviously like the best of the best people have this special gift that the rest of us don't. But I think for the most part, you can be really pretty good if your body can stay injury free and you can have some consistency with your training.
And what do you feel like are some of the things that you do consistently? Maybe they give you a little bit more of an edge on, you know, just the average person training, or is there
Yeah.
anything?
Yeah. I think I tend to listen to my body really well, and I've gotten even better at that as I got older. If I'm tired, I take a day off. I don't think twice about it.
Mm,
If a workout is not going well, sometimes I'll back it, and it's kind of counterintuitive, right? Like you think the best people are going to work the hardest, but I think you have to like also know when to give yourself a little bit of a break so that you don't overstress your body and break down. I
mm,
think you want to get to the starting line on the right side of undertrained versus overtrained, you know, because if you
yeah.
come in with a bunch of injuries, it's just not going to go very well.
I think that is really wise advice for people because I hear, you know, some of my friends when they want to do a really long run or something, they'll be like, I'm
Yeah.
so tired and I don't want to do it. And I
Yeah.
always say, and
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily the best person to get advice from on this, but I always just say, take a break. It'll be okay. The 20 miles will be there tomorrow and you can do it then, you know? like,
Exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a hobby that we love to do, right? Like no
Yeah.
one has a gun to your head and it's like, run, run. Like, you gotta want to do it. And if you don't want to do it, you're not gonna have any longevity in the sport, you know?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it has to be like it has to be an innate drive in order to continue, yeah,
Absolutely.
longevity in the sport. And that makes a lot of sense too. I think some people are like, yeah, I mean, for example, I like running, but
Hmm.
I didn't love marathons. I didn't love that. And
Yeah,
so I went to a lower distance and that worked good for me. So I think,
exactly.
yeah. So I think everybody kind of just they find the thing that really works well for them. And I just love to hear your story about how you got better and
Oh,
better and better because it was so exciting for you to do that, and you had such drive to do that. And even over 12 years, you're what, like 42 now, and you
yeah,
did
I'm
the Olymp.
old. Yes.
No, but that's the amazing thing is you're not old. I mean, to
Oh,
the
thank
20
you.
year old, you're old,
Yeah.
to the
I don't know.
36.
There's some days you get on the starting line. I'm like, oh my gosh, I could be their mothers. Some of these girls are so young. But at the end of the day, like that's what's the greatest thing about running is it's such a life sport. I mean, it is something we can do in different capacities our whole life. And,
Yeah.
certain things absolutely adjust as you get older. Like I take more rest days than I used to
Hmm.
and whatever, but you can still do it. There's
Yeah.
not like an age. I think if you were like a professional basketball player, I mean, you're probably not going to do that at age 42, but you
Hmm.
can keep running for forever.
Yeah, and I actually just met a couple people. I have a friend who she was scheduled to run a marathon, and then they canceled the marathon for COVID-19. So
Uh,
I did
mm,
part of. So she decided she was going to do the run anyway. It was her first marathon,
mm-hmm.
and so I ran a portion of it with her. And along the way, we found
That's
this. Yeah,
awesome.
we found this couple. They had to been like 70 at least,
And
and
they're still doing
they
it.
were both running, and they have been running a marathon in every single state of the United States.
Oh, oh my
And
God,
so
that's
they were running
incredible.
together. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I guess I'm wondering, like, is running something you're just like, I want to do marathons for as long as I can, forever. Like I want to do marathons forever. Or are you like, want to try an ultra, or no, I want to try getting excellent at the half, or I mean, what are your long term
Yeah.
when you see yourself at age 70? What do you see?
I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I, I always say I want to keep doing marathons as long as they're fun. And when they stop being fun, like I'm done, right? Like
Yeah.
I have no interest in racing when it's not something I'm enjoying doing. But
Yeah.
at
I
this
love
point, I
that.
am still enjoying it.
Yeah.
So as long as I'm enjoying it, that being said, I could certainly see a date when I stopped racing competitively. I can't imagine a date when I didn't run,
Mhm.
because that's just
Yeah.
it's like brushing your teeth. I mean, it's
Yeah.
something I do almost every day. Like
Yeah.
it would be weird, and I think I'm a better person when I'm doing it. I'm no like the days I go
Yeah.
out running, if I have an hour to myself, I'm a much better mom. And I'm much more
Yeah.
patient with my kids. I'm a better wife to my husband. Like I solve all the world problems, right? Like in my mind when I have
Yes.
the peace of by
Oh,
running.
I love that.
Generally, you forget them by the time you're home, but like it's just such a good mental break for me.
Mhm. So that's about what you run roughly on an average day when you're not necessarily training for something. You're like, okay, an hour is sort of my standard.
Yeah, like when I'm not training hard, 8 to 10 miles a day, like probably 6 days a week.
Okay, cool. And do you have any kind of special nutrition, or is it sort of like whatever you feel
Um,
like that day?
I'm not real picky about my food, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Okay.
I drink too much caffeine and I recognize that. But for the most part, I eat a fairly balanced diet. But there's nothing like I don't eat. If I want a
Yeah.
sweet, I absolutely eat a sweet. So, yeah, I'm not real picky. When I get closer to a race day, I probably dial some of the sweets back and like focus more on water versus coffee or whatever. But
Mm.
I just kind of eat a balanced, healthy diet most times.
That is great. I love that. And you kind of, do you have a training coach, or do you just coach yourself at this point?
I do. I run for the Atlanta Track Club. They have an elite team and they have two coaches, which ironically were two of my college teammates, Amy and
Wow.
Andrew Begley. So it's kind of full. Yeah, it's crazy. Amy was an Olympian in the 10 10K and was a big runner in his own right in the 10K also. And they've, since their professional careers, run lots of stuff, they started coaching, and they're coach chat club, which I'm thrilled to be a part of. So, yeah, it's pretty amazing. We have practices, not right now, obviously, but normally we have practices at 2 or 3 times a week with them, and then run on our own the rest of the time.
My podcast is called Feminine Will, and it's because I love the idea of women just having the will to do whatever their heart desires, and that it's but that it has a feminine aspect to it. And I'm wondering, like, what has your feminine will done for you in a way that that you feel like is unique to being feminine, to being a woman?
That's a tough question. There's so much about it. I think that, like, as a woman, I think that our bodies in some ways are better, predisposed even than to men to endurance athletics. So I think that is definitely something as a woman that's been an advantage. But I guess as a mom, I see, I think as a mom, it's very easy to lose yourself in your children and in your family. And maybe dads do that too, but I don't see it quite as often, to be honest. But I think that as a mom, athletics has given me the ability to, like, focus a little bit on myself and my goals while doing something in a manner that's still, setting a great example for my children, healthy for me. It's a very good thing instead of just pushing in a self-centered manner, if that makes sense.
Oh, I love that. Yes, that's really beautifully said. What is one thing that you would say to the audience? If you could just tell them one thing, one lesson, or one important kind of motto that you live by, what would that be?
But anyone that follows running would know who Desiree Linden is. And she's been an Olympian twice, and she just missed the Olympics again this time. But her motto was always just keep showing up. And I totally live by that. Like, every day doesn't have to be amazing. And every day is not going to be your best. It's not going to be your worst. Some days you just have to kind of show up and get it done. And I think that sort of is how, success long-term in an athletic kind of sport happens, is that you just keep showing up day after day, and you're going to show up for your good days. You're going to show up for your not so good days, but over time it's going to work out for the best for you.
And that was my conversation with Laurie Knowles. You can find her on Instagram at LaurieKnowles. The thing I love the most about this podcast is just the women that I get to talk to. They are just incredible. I just cannot get over it. I really am just in so much awe. And I hear from you that you are in awe too of these people. And I love to hear that, because I don't think it's an awe like, oh, they're above me. It's an awe of, wow, I feel so inspired to move and do and be and live and do whatever it is my heart wants to do. I hope you feel that way too. Please share this with one person. Let them know that they can do whatever it is that they want to do. And if they have shown any level of interest in running, share this one with them. If they've showed interest in martial arts, share with them the episode with Kaya Lola. If they've shown interest in dance, share the episode with the key tips. Just anything that you think somebody might be interested in, share that episode with them and encourage them to listen, because this is an incredible way to just hear what other women are doing. This episode is brought to you by Sweatseat, SWETSEAT. It is a seat cover that I developed as a runner. My husband and I are runners, and I just got so tired of sweaty bodies in the car without protection on the seat, and I just couldn't handle the idea anymore. So I just looked on the market, scoured, could not find anything I loved. There wasn't anything that had everything. I was looking for waterproof. I was looking for something with a headrest. I was looking for something that I could throw in the wash machine, something that was super tiny when it was rolled up so that it would fit in my car door or under my seat so I didn't have to see it when I wasn't using it. I was looking for something that didn't have buckles, clips, snaps, all the things that kind of drive you crazy when you want to just get something done. And I didn't want it to feel complicated, like it had to stay on there forever. So that's why I really wanted it to be kind of slip on, slip off. So I couldn't find anything that had all those things, so I just developed it myself. And over 7 months of iterating it, came up with Sweatseat. So go check it out at sweatseat.com. Again, it's a vehicle seat cover for when you are sweaty, germy, dirty, whatever. Just last week, I started selling face masks, and they are flying off the shelves, you guys. People need face masks right now. So if you don't have one, or if you are looking for one, these are You Can Do This face masks for $10 each on sweatseat.com, sweatseat.com. I wrote a song 4 years ago called You Can Do This, and on these masks is that slogan, You Can Do This, because anytime I need give myself a coaching session, it usually includes those 4 words, You Can Do This. If you want to hear the You Can Do This ballad that I wrote, you can find it in the show notes. So just go to the notes of this episode and click on the link there. As always, thank you so much for joining me. I love that you listen. I love that you share. Please follow us on Instagram if you aren't yet, at Feminine Will Podcast. Follow us on Facebook if you aren't. And if that's where you mostly are, go to at Feminine Will Podcast. All the music from this episode and all the episodes are original music by me under the name Andrea Belita, Belita. Thank you so much for joining me, and see you next Monday.